Well, I had an interesting cigar this week, a different kind of one for me that I will absolutely talk to you about today. It is the Partagas Anejo Esplendido LE. And it is a very interesting looking cigar, kind of a small torpedo that tapers out. You'll see the picture here, but tapers out. It's wider about a half an inch from the foot, and then it tapers back down, and it's a little more narrow towards the foot. So it almost looks like a small bell or something. And it's a barber pole. So it's a very interesting and different cigar. Short and fat, barber pole wrapper. Queen's Fat Bottom Girls kept playing in my mind as I was getting ready to light it. The Anejo Esplendido LE is 4.5 inches long by 60 ring gauge at its fattest point. But it's heavily curved at about the half point and then narrows back quickly, as I said, at the foot. Partagas used a Cameroon wrapper from the 1998 crop and a Connecticut shade wrapper from 2013 together in the barber pole. So a lot of times when you see the barber pole wrapper, they'll use like a really dark and a really light to create like the contrast of the barber pole. This one, not so much. They were not that different from each other, just enough for you to see that it has a barber pole style to the wrapper. Anyway, underneath those leaves is binder from the Dominican Republic and fillers from Mexico and the DR. I used cigar scissors to clip the cap and checked out the pre-light aromas. Earth and tea leaf on the sniff, and a touch of pepper added to those in the cold draw. I decided to use a torch, and the cigar lit easily, and we were off to the races. The first thing I got from the Anejo Esplendido LE was a definitive earth note, although when I continued to puff on it, the earth note reminded me a little of like an herb garden, you know, that combination of the earth and a little bit of the sort of sharp notes of the different herbs and stuff. Very rich and lush. There was also a minerality to the smoke and a hint of pepper, especially on the retrohale. Clearly, the Cameroon wrapper was having a pretty big impact on the flavor because it wasn't mild at all. In fact, it came in at about medium plus from the very beginning. Not surprisingly for a Partagas, the construction was quite good. In fact, even when I pulled the band off, it even nicked a little bit of the outside wrapper, and I thought, uh-oh, but it burned right through it with no significant problem. The construction, as I said, really good. It burned nice and evenly despite the unusual shape. With a cigar this small, it doesn't take long to get into the second third. More earthiness, rolled oats, and a continuing touch of pepper. The smoke was thick and creamy, very pleasant on the palate. The pepper ramped up a little bit in the final third, and it was joined by a note of leather. Just like the first two thirds, the final one was nicely complex, with flavors kind of coming and going and keeping things quite interesting as it smoked. Now, while the complexity was nice, it didn't give me a huge boutique cigar vibe. More of kind of a mainstream mix of flavors than the Nicaraguans, than Hondurans that I normally smoke. But it was very enjoyable. And it smoked for longer, actually, than I would have thought. Construction was great. Ash held on for quite a while, despite the more complicated shape. I was very impressed with that. At $6 to $7, the Partagas Anejo Esplendido LE, it's small, but it holds up quite nicely for the price range, and I enjoyed the flavor profile. It was a bit of a change from my usual smoke, so I will recommend it. Give it a solid 5 price to quality. So there we go.